Zambia, like many other countries on the globe, has faced immense economic challenges despite having potential of being one of the fastest growing economies in Africa. The economic performance of Zambia plummeted owing to, among others, the fluctuation in copper prices coupled with effects of climate change that reduced agricultural activities as well as contributing much to energy shortages. Additionally, the coronavirus disease, COVID-19, did not spare Zambia either, as it ravaged economic ventures such as tourism and many other sectors. However, the government of Zambia has come up with a swift and encompassing policy response to revitalize the economy through heightened economic reforms, investment, and private sector participation. Strides to recover and stabilize the economy are also being implemented locally, as well as benchmarking from other African countries that have economically thrived, such as Kenya in the east of Africa. Kenya, officially known as the Republic of Kenya, has the land area covering 580,367 square kilometers, occupying 48th position as the largest country by area at world level. Despite having the population of about 47.6 million people according to the 2019 census, and also holding 29th position as the most populous country in the world, Kenya, with the capital Nairobi, has remained the third largest economy in sub-Saharan Africa after Nigeria and South Africa. This country is bordered by South Sudan to the northwest, Ethiopia and Somalia to the north and eastern sides, while Uganda and Tanzania are in the western and southern parts, with Indian Ocean to the southeast. Now the question one would ask is, why Kenya? Well, the two countries have a lot in common. Kenya and Zambia has over the years enjoyed historical warm and cordial bilateral and diplomatic relations that have existed since the two countries became independent. The two countries have also been members of several organizations, including the United Nations, UN, African Union, AU, the Non-Aligned Movement, NAM, the Commonwealth, and the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA. The two countries cooperate in a wide range of areas within the framework of the agreement establishing the Kenya-Zambia Joint Permanent Commission for Cooperation that was signed by the founding fathers of the two countries on 8 September 1982. Joyce Kasosa is Zambia's High Commissioner to Kenya.
Zambia and Kenya have a diplomatic relationship that dates back to the 1960s, immediately after the two countries became independent. So it's upon this relationship that even our current two presidents want to ride on and move this relationship even stronger.
It was at this point that she announced the expected two-day state visit of President Hakainde Hichilema to that country on the 15th of June 2022 at the invitation of Uhuru Kenyatta, President of the Republic of Kenya, to strengthen bilateral ties between the two countries.
The President is expected tomorrow, and it's actually a two-day state visit. So tomorrow is arriving, and then there is a range of activities that are lined up. It's expected that the President is going to have bilateral talks with his counterpart, and At the end of the day, the two presidents are expected to also sign some memoranda of understanding between the two countries.
Part of the advance party of the president was Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry Chipoka Mlenga, together with Minister of Tourism, Rodney Sikumba.
But we want to revive the trade balance. How can we increase our trade with Kenya? In the past, where we've seen potential, Zambia is very strong in the production of maize, among many other things, where we do cereals, among many other products. And our focus is to do value addition to our maize, where we provide cereals, porridge, among many other things, which the Kenyans need. And this is exactly what we want to revive and see how much more can we take to Kenya. The more we strike these deals and start becoming a reality, there will be need for Zambian individuals at household level to increase production in the maize, to get value of their money. The business communities in Zambia will grow. In the recent past, we saw where Zambian people, individuals, could not be a part of the entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurial skills was shifted from the local people into the foreign nationals, and a preserve of the elected members of political houses like myself. But we want to cut that barrier.
So why we are part of the delegation accompanying the president here in Nairobi, Kenya for the state visits is threefold. Number one, obviously we are going to sign an agreement, a memorandum of understanding, if I can put it that way, between the government of the Republic of Zambia and the government of Republic of Kenya, which will now look at areas of cooperation within the tourism sector, vis-a-vis wildlife conservation, promotion, tourism promotion, as well as exchange of information between our two states, to mention but a few. More so, from the tourism perspective, we're looking at an opportunity to sign yet another MOU by the two training institutes within the tourism and hospitality sector, ZITS and Kasuli, which is based here in Kenya. Now you will realize that the training school here in Kenya is one renowned training schools in Africa that has seen a lot of these people, a lot of career tourism and hospitality people excel in the world, and we thought it was very important that we actually get to have a feel of what it is that they're doing. So we have partnered, they will partner with the Zambia Institute of Tourism and Hospitality Studies in Zambia, which will now be able to mushroom and harness and train our young boys and girls who are going to be deemed as career chefs, career front office operators, career housekeepers, and so forth, so that we're able to now compete at a higher level with regards to where service is concerned. You do realize or agree with me that in tourism, what sets you out from the rest is the service that you're going to give to the client. In the absence of that, you will not have your repeat client. So that is one of the things that we will be looking at. And then thirdly, which is it's a first, obviously, within Zambia, if I'm not mistaken, where we have tagged along our private sector head within the tourism sector. This is the Tourism Council of Zambia. You will notice that we've made pronouncements before by the head of state, and obviously myself as head of the ministry, talking about how we are going to rebound tourism, obviously owing to the COVID-19 pandemic. But this time around, we've brought in the private sector to take the lead. We've come from a time where private sector felt that government was not putting enough to grow the sector. But this time around, we're saying let private sector take the lead. And as such, so the private sector, the two private sectors between Zambia and Kenya are yet again going to sign an agreement.
And indeed, on the date mentioned, President Hakainde Hichilema, accompanied by Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Stanley Kakubo, arrived at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in Nairobi at exactly 11:08 hours Kenyan time aboard a presidential challenger. He was received by Ambassador Rachel Omam, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Kenya, and Escort of Honor Fred Matiang'i, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Interior, and coordination of national government. Upon arrival, the president proceeded to State House, where he received a 21-gun salute. President Hichilema also inspected the Guard of Honor mounted by the Kenyan Defense Force. Shortly after arrival procession at State House, the president went into bilateral talks with his Kenyan counterpart, Uhuru Kenyatta. The talks focused on enhancing trade and investment in areas of tourism and agriculture, among others, between the two countries.
Kenya and Zambia enjoy friendly relations. We have stood together and supported each other during very critical periods in our history. And I'm indeed delighted that our two nations have also agreed to expand our areas of cooperation, and we are committed to working together with you and your government for the mutual benefit and prosperity of our peoples. When we create opportunities for our young people by bringing our countries closer together to expand both opportunity and to create larger markets that allow ourselves to industrialize at a much faster pace than we are currently doing.
It's our duty to entrench those relationships, truly, to deepen those relationships to a point where the good things that have been done before, we carry on. We carry on and make it difficult for those coming, maybe in future, to alter those good things. That will help us keep our countries stable, but not only stable, but growing. In which areas? Economic and social. And I think it's good to see that the leaderships on our continent is beginning to pay a premium, to pay attention to the importance of economic success, so we can look after our sick, our weak, our young, our old, our retired, in our individual countries, but across the continent.
The bilateral talks, which lasted for about 3 hours, culminated into signing of 7 memoranda of understanding before having a joint press communique. The first MOU signed by Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Zambia, Stanley Kakubo, and Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, and Cooperatives of Kenya, Peter Munya, is on promotion of cooperatives. The second one is in the field of veterinary and animal health for mutual cooperation between the two countries in order to control, prevent, eradicate, as well as promote surveillance and monitoring systems of terrestrial and aquatic animal diseases. This was also signed by Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Zambia, Stanley Kakubo, and Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs Kenya, Ambassador Rachel Omam. The third MOU signed is on cooperation between Zambia Institute of Tourism and Hospitality Studies and Kenya Utalii College, which will enable teachings at each other's institutions on a direct exchange basis in order to maximize the use of existing skills, expertise, and experiences in the two institutions. This was signed by Minister of Tourism Zambia, Rodney Sikumba, and Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs Kenya, Ambassador Rachel Omam. On number 4 is in International Relations Studies and Research between Zambia Institute of Diplomacy and International Studies and Foreign Service Academy Institute of Kenya, which is under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in that country. Signed by Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Zambia, Stanley Kakubo, and Cabinet Secretary of Minister of Foreign Affairs, Kenya, Ambassador Rachel Omam. The fifth one is on cooperation in the field of tourism and wildlife, whose objective is to set out a general framework within which the two countries will endeavor to strengthen relations and expand collaborations in the development of their tourism and wildlife sectors for mutual benefits. This was signed by Minister of Tourism Zambia, Rodney Sikumba, and Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs Kenya, Ambassador Rachel Omam. On number 6 is the MOU on promotion of investment between the Zambia Development Agency, ZDA, and Kenya investors. This was signed by Zambia Development Agency ZDA Director General Albert Halwampa and Kenya Investment Authority Acting Managing Director Olivia Rachia. And the 7th one is on cooperation between Kenya Tourism Federation and Tourism Council of Zambia, signed by the two private sector representatives, Dr. Tekla Ngwenya, the board chairperson of the Zambia Tourism Board, and Ms. Susan Ongalo from Kenya. The two leaders agreed that the signing of the instruments of cooperation sets out an extensive framework for the consolidation and deepening of relations for the mutual benefits of the people of the two countries.
These agreements that have been signed in the past are dusted, they are implemented. And where there were gaps in these agreements, we close those gaps. And I hope the two teams have been looking at these issues so they would help us to close those gaps. But more important, to work together to advance the welfare of Kenyans, the welfare of Zambians, to advance the welfare of others, because we cannot be an island. It's not possible for us to be an island. So, Mr. President, dear brother and colleagues, we are here to walk that path. We are here to focus on the implementation of the old arrangements and the arrangements that we are going to enhance for mutual good. No question about it.
Kenya and Zambia will continue to grow. It is also my strong conviction that we shall continue to proactively engage in various fields of social economic endeavor to advance our respective national programs, as well as the program that we own jointly together and we commonly refer to our African Union Agenda 2063.
Later, President Hichilema laid a wreath at the mausoleum of the late founding father of the Republic of Kenya, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, at Parliament Building in Nairobi. Here, President Hichilema called on African leaders to utilize the freedoms, peace, and relationships between countries that were created by founding fathers for economic prosperity.
Part of the history of Kenya lies here. So it's important that when we're here, we find time to remember those that walked a path that today's leaders of Africa are walking. What's that path? First, it was to liberate our countries. So we must respect and continue walking that path. And then the development agenda, social-economic development. Because without that, it's difficult to keep our communities together. Again, we remember the path of those that came before us. And unity, peace, stability, security, very important.
The head of state also commented on the upcoming general election of Kenya, slated for August this year.
So we wish you, early on in my submission, a successful, peaceful election in Kenya. And we are watching closely, and we're praying, we're doing everything that we can from outside. But ultimately, it's the Kenyan people that should hold Kenya together and go through this process. It's only a process that we've chosen as democratic countries to choose our leaders through. And I think it's just that. Yet it's important. And if it's not handled properly, we can get it wrong. And we don't want to get it wrong.
Later in the evening, President Hakainde Hichilema was honored with a state banquet hosted by his Kenyan counterpart, President Uhuru Kenyatta, at State House in Nairobi. During this night function, the two leaders unanimously agreed to redefine how to do business within Africa.
Sometimes we trade in goods from Kenya through Europe. We in Zambia buy goods from Kenya through Europe, and vice versa. Really? Does that make sense? Absolutely not. Why have we continued doing it? That's what we want to fix together. And really, please, colleagues, signing is one key step, but effecting, implementing what we've agreed is important to avoid duplication, to avoid overlaps, to avoid gaps, but more importantly, to lower the cost of doing business by trading, investing with each other through the shortcuts. You know, this is a time to say we will redefine the way we work with each other, which will help us reduce the cost of doing business, providing goods and services to our customers in our countries, and business-wise, it will make us more competitive. Simple, isn't it? Straight. So let's do it. So President Kenyatta, thank you for giving us this opportunity to be able to advance that path walked by those who came before us. But also, we know you're doing it for the Kenyan people, for the Zambian people, for Africa, for the global community.
The deep commitment the President of Zambia showed in terms of ensuring that we not only just deepen our cooperation, but that cooperation should be one that is led by integrated African investment. We should no longer be talking about boundaries. We should be talking about multinational corporations that flourish across the African continent, owned by Africans, using African raw materials, creating employment for African children, creating wealth for African peoples. We in Kenya are equally committed to this integration agenda. We in Zambia are amongst the first two countries not only to sign but to ratify the Africa Free Trade Area. And I want to assure you that the Kenya government will continue working with its partners in Zambia and across the African continent to continuously remove barriers to trade, continue to improve the ease of doing business, continue to open our borders to our brothers and sisters across the continent. And today, I therefore urge and encourage our Zambian brothers and sisters to be investors and to look no further to make Kenya their investment destination of choice, but also to look to their brothers in Kenya to be their investment partners of choice.
On the last day of his state visit to Kenya, President Hakainde Hichilema toured iHub, the information and communication technology company based in Nairobi, Kenya, which is run by young people.
There's a lot of leveraging that we can do.
Absolutely.
And I would like to see relationships, conversations, going on after this visitation. And with the MOUs we signed yesterday, I think maybe we missed out this one. And maybe there's, unless it's incorporated in some of the MOUs that exist. If it doesn't, I would like us to consider bringing this on board as well. My colleagues, the cabinet secretaries here, to see how you mobilize resources. I think you mentioned largely it's equity. But it would be nice to learn from what you do and how we can work together.
The iHub Group is ready to incorporate Zambia in the business.
For the creative economy, Zambia is definitely one of the key focus markets that we would like to access, and any facilitation around that would be greatly appreciated.
President Hichilema also toured Maramba Tea Company in Nairobi to appreciate its entire production process, with hopes of turning Zambia into an economic epicenter. Later, he met Zambians living in Kenya who surprised him with a belated 60th birthday present.
Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday dear buddy.
And the song, I didn't expect it. But Zigo Mugwambiri, Totela Mkwai, Tumeza Hulu, Sakwila Chikumu Mwane, Nasakiri Komwani, Taonga Chomene, Twarumba Gapati.
To sum it all, the two-day state visit to Kenya by President Hakainde Hichilema was not only important but beneficial to the people of Zambia, as it was part of his continued effort to unlock and rebuild the country's economy. The president left Nairobi for Lusaka with a word of gratitude to his counterpart, Uhuru Kenyatta, the government of Kenya, and the Kenyan people for inviting him for a state visit.